Now, with great pleasure, I would like to introduce and invite Mrs. Anjali Jaipuria for keynote address. Mrs. Anjali Jaipuria is the Vice Chairperson, Integral Education Society and SET MR Jaipuria School. She is an educationist with a vision for fundamental change in the Indian educational system. She combines her love for Vedic wisdom and its relationship with the needs of economic, social, and political condition for today, creating contemporary learning materials. She is the founder of Jaipuria School's passion for Sanskrit, and her love for rebuilding India led her to a dream. Her dream was that one day Sanskrit language must go through a period of renaissance in India. And this renaissance began with Seth M.R. Jaipuria School, Gomti Nagar, Lucknow in 2003. And now this wave has reached to the various Jaipuria schools and in other schools too. She studies Sri Aurobindo's and the Mother's evolutionary work, integral yoga and educational reforms, the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita. She has been teaching the Bhagavad Gita in the light of Sri Aurobindo to a group of aspirants since 2015. With great respect, I invite Mrs. Anjali Jaipuria for the keynote address. Over to you, ma'am.
Namaskar to Dr. Biswajit Saha, Dr. Soumya Julu Garimela, Dr. Kanak Gupta ji, Srimati Beena Nair, and the entire franchise team. Heartiest congratulations to all of you on the successful completion of Upskill. What an array of proficient, interesting, and inspirational speakers you had lined up, dear franchise team. See, I've been told to talk on value education by Beena. Educationists world over are grappling with ways and means of weaving together values into the educational pedagogy. I've met so many educationists in Finland, spent days in Finland with them, but as yet, no clear-cut avenues have been discovered. The work of creating a pedagogy for value education had been completed by our rishis 5,000 or more years back. It is all there in our Sanskrit literature, be it the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Gita. You know, what we tried to do was we have incorporated these mantras, these poems, these verses from these texts into our Sanskrit curriculum, Deva Bhasha, which is being taught in our Seth M.R. Jaipuria schools. And what is being taught is not only the mantras, but Sanskrit language. The key to actually changing a child, weaving values into his very being, is to start at a very early age. Start at an early age as in playgroup, LKG, UKG. कोई बच्चा नहीं होगा of Jaipuria school who would not be doing pranams to his elders, who would not understand the value of self-study. Because these verses and these mantras are not about Ishwar ko khali bhaj govindam. It's about your daily habits. To cut a long story short, actually value education is very different from moral education. When we tell a child it is wrong to tell a lie, it is wrong to steal, it has no inroads into the child's consciousness. Sri Aurobindo says that teaching is done at 3 levels. The basic primary level is one in which you resort to instruction. The teacher teaches from the book and instructs what is to be done and what is not to be done. I don't need to elaborate on this. The second level of teaching that Sri Aurobindo talks about is through example, and I do not need to elaborate on this either. The highest level of teaching that Sri Aurobindo talks about happens through influence. Let me share with you a page from my life. When my daughter was just 13, 14 years old, she was learning sketching from an art teacher for more than 1.5 years. She was sketching a sunlit road on the hills from a picture she had taken in Nainital. One day, I took her to a budding artist. He was a budding artist then. Now he's world famous, Paresh Maiti. It was his first exhibition at Gallery Ganesh. Now I requested him to spend some time with my daughter. And I took all the art material, a paper and the kind of pencils that he would want. Believe me, he spent only 20 minutes with her. He asked her what she's sketching, and then he sketched a sunlit road on the hills in those 20 minutes. When my daughter came back, her sketching had reached the next level. Her strokes had become strong, confident, and powerful. What had that artist Paresh Maiti done in 20 minutes, which the art teacher could not do in 18 months? Paresh Maiti influenced my daughter. How? Paresh Maiti is not working from his cerebrum. It is not a cerebral interaction that he did with my daughter. Paresh Maiti was operating from his inmost soul. He was sketching from his soul outwards. When a teacher is connected to his or her inmost being, she is able to influence the student and raise his consciousness. After all, what is the inmost soul? It is God Himself. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. He is Purna and the Purna is there within us. Let me tell you another story. All of us have heard about Socrates, the Greek philosopher. He used to go around asking people, the philosophers of that time, the thinkers of the time, the young children, the young thinkers of that time. And he had only one question. What is virtue? What is virtue? Great thinkers of that time, great philosophers would say, honesty is virtue. Some would say love is virtue, and so on and so forth. And Socrates would retort, I'm not talking of virtues. I'm asking, what is it that by virtue of which virtue becomes virtue? Virtue में क्या है जिससे कोई भी चीज virtue बन जाती है? When nobody could answer his question, Socrates said, knowledge is virtue. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of the highest. Now, God is the highest. He lives within us in His perfect self. All of us have heard Kasturi Kundal Base, Mrig Dhunde Van Mahi. ऐसे घटी घटी राम है, दुनिया देखत नहीं. So, to search for Him within us is the highest quest, my dear teachers. To find Him within us and then to operate in the outer world, seated here, seated within us, is the highest realization. I repeat myself, to search for Him within us is the highest quest. To find Him within us and then to seat ourselves there, sthita pragya, and then to operate in the outer world, not go into some cave, not become a sannyasi, but to operate in the outer world, seated securely within, is the highest realization. This is what will make our teachers into influencers. This is the virtue that Socrates was talking about. And this is real education. You know something? Teaching history, geography, languages, science, math is very good, is very important. But it is imparting only literacy. This process of literacy will turn into education only when we educate the heart of the child. When we make him aware of the oneness, the unity that supports the multiplicity of this universe. These trees, these animals, these insects, even this table, you and me, we are all made of the same divine substance. There is an underlying unity. We only vibrate differently. You remember Einstein's discovery? E is equal to mc square. Energy converts into matter and matter converts into energy. Cutting the whole story short, we will educate the child only when we connect him to his inmost being. And that is what our Sanskrit course is doing gradually in a very phased manner from playgroup through LKG, UKG, 1, 2, 3, right up to grade 8. So we will educate the child only when we connect him to his inmost being, his soul, in which all these values, what we talk about in value education, all these virtues are already embedded here, and from where they will flow spontaneously. All we need to make the child aware of is make him aware of this presence within, this luminosity within. All that we teachers need to do is search for this luminosity, this powerhouse, this radiance within. All that we teachers need to do is to take a dip several times a day into this calm pool of light, love, sweetness, oneness, and unity. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali ma'am. Thank you so much. It's a pure delight and a beautiful experience just listening to you. Your aura and the power behind each and every word and even every pause, it can be felt. It can be felt here, sitting here in a Zoom session. So heartfelt thanks, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.